All right, call the meeting to order. This is the July 6, 2021 meeting of the Town Administrative Screening Committee. The meeting is being cablecast by Area 58 Access Media, Channel 15, and will be posted by Area 58 on YouTube as soon as possible. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the first thing on the agenda is to review responses to the consultant quote solicitations, and the next thing is to discuss and possible vote on the choice of a consultant. So let me tell you what's happened since our last meeting. As the committee voted, Pat Maher and I met on the next morning with our procurement people and chose 3 consultants to solicit quotes from using the bid form that we had looked at and approved. So that was on the 29th, and we said that we wanted to have a response back by 11 a.m. on July 2nd, which was Friday. We got a response right away on the first day from one of the people we had solicited a quote from, saying that they weren't going to bid. They didn't do so much recruitment as working on this type of a project, but they chose not to bid. And we, as of 11 a.m. on Friday morning, we had not got any other bids. So we had no bids, and in consideration of the fact that it was, holiday weekend and short notice, and half the world is still working at home, and who knows how communication is going and everything, working with procurement, we extended, for the 2 who had not yet responded, we extended the deadline till noontime today, and called them to make sure they got the extension and that they got the original. And they both acknowledged having received the extension as well as the original. And we had one decide not to bid on Sunday, I think it was July 4th, they sent an email, and the other one has not responded as well. So we have no consultants who have responded to our solicitation. I have advised the chairman of the select board of that when he called me today. And so this kind of leaves us where we obviously can't choose anything, so we have to decide where to go next.
Whom did we send the bids to? Who did we request bids from?
There's the Collins Center, Mead, Talaman, and MRI.
Were those from?
They were 3 of the 4 off of that thing.
And who didn't respond?
All of them. Well,
MRI.
Who dropped out?
So Collins Center said they weren't interested?
The Collins Center responded after initially sounding like when we contacted them they were interested, they responded they were not going to submit a bid. And
On Sunday.
right. Yeah, on Sunday, right. So that leaves us kind of with where do we go from here? Looking at the charge of the Board of Selectmen, the advertisement of the job is supposed to occur by July 16th. That can be done and doesn't have to be done by a consultant. So we could move forward and do that. And just for discussion, I'll suggest that maybe we ask the board to change their charge from demanding or insisting that we use a consultant to giving us that option if we determine in the process it's necessary and we could find one.
That really surprises me.
You too.
Really surprises me.
It surprises everyone that we haven't been able to find out why.
So, I spoke with Tom earlier today, and it seems to me that the Select Board has given us no back door. They've given us no out, because they want a recruiter. So there was never anything put in place as to what happens if nobody wants to be a recruiter. I agree with the chairman that I think this board can vote to post the position on MMA. I think that we'd probably hold off on placing that until Monday when Elaine comes back, so that the wording is correct and so forth. Obviously, the responses would have to go to Elaine, and then we would vet them in executive session. I think that it's also incumbent upon us to request that the Select Board meet sooner than their scheduled meeting on the 15th, decide really what's your next plan? What do you want us to do next?
Yeah, because their scheduled meeting is the 22nd.
Right, that's so, and they're the ones that have given us deadlines, so they're going to have some kind of a special meeting of the Select Board for the sole purpose of figuring out what do you want us to do here, because they didn't give us a lot of room in this charge. There's no what-if scenarios. There's no plan B to any of this, because I'm assuming, because nobody would have ever guessed. We sat here last Monday night and said, oh, we'll have bids by Friday. And
Now, if the screening committee were to vote to request the selectmen change their charge from an absolute that you have to use a consultant to give us that option, should the need arise because maybe we want to use it for background checks or something like that, I think that a vote of the screening committee requesting that might carry some weight with them when they do meet.
I'd like to personally see the Select Board allow the screening committee to do whatever is necessary to provide a list. And that would give us,
Well, this is really the only thing that they've kind of,
you know,
So do we need to make a motion to request?
well, someone, I mean, I'm throwing that out for
I
discussion
think-
because I've had a little bit of time to think about this.
Could I just ask a couple questions? As far as, so would the plan be, I guess, a couple things. If you're talking about posting the town administrator's job,
Advertising.
advertise the town administrator's job, when? Just, you talk,
Sometime between now and before July 16th, which
Okay.
is next week,
Okay.
a week from Friday.
and I'm just trying to think of the timing and logistics, of how it lays out. When you do that, would the intent to be to create another profile of the town, a profile to go with that? Or,
But no, probably not.
so it'll just be a general
Right.
posting?
I don't know for sure about that.
Well, I guess
But I
that's...
don't think that that's necessary.
Okay. I fully support, asking the Select Board to give us that authority to make a change. I have no issue with that at all. And again, you guys know more than I do, and I'll defer to you, but at the same time we're doing that, I still think we're going to have to bring a consultant on board at some point. So do we continue this this procurement process out further? Say you extend it 2 weeks, just for a discussion point. You extend it 2 weeks and you open it up to 4 additional, Elaine or yourselves do some
why would
research.
we need a consultant anyway?
Well, I think you're going to at some point in the process, is my point. I mean, so if you, just my feelings is when it comes into doing background checks, when it's, you're going to have to do a lot of research on these people, you might want to have a consultant at least that you have an option to utilize if you want to. But if you're coming down to the 11th hour in 2 weeks and all of a sudden you say, I need a consultant, well, now you got a process you got to go through. So is there, I'm just for discussion, is it a bad thing to continue with that based on an a la carte list that, okay, we've already accomplished 3 things, we might only need you for 1 thing down the road?
What I was
Or is it to
thinking is
defer that?
advertise it and then see what type of response we're getting in a week or 2.
Okay.
If we have 3 or 4 or 5, maybe we don't need it. If we get up there in numbers, maybe we do. And then I think we could, I'm not quite sure how the procurement process would work, but I think if you're only using someone for a piece of this, like maybe just do background checks, I think that first one that backed out would probably want to do that. That's the type of thing they do. But they didn't want the recruitment stuff.
And I'm fine with it, I just want to make sure we get it advertised the right way.
Yeah.
And in the right spots.
I think that's
But I
the
just don't
reason
want to do
why.
that, and that was just my thing of a consultant might help you do that. But I have complete confidence in the staff here, and that's fine. That was just, I want to make sure the right information, that the right people don't read something and go, the job's not for me, I'm not even going to apply, versus just trying to put some effort into a proper, whatever they call it here, a thing, a profile, and making sure we got it right. That was it. And by July 16th, I think we could have that
And that
right.
would be something
That's
that,
fine. sure
if we decided to go this way, that has to be done between now and July 16th. And,
Bottom line, you need the input from the select board that we can make our own decision on.
We've got to get a decision.
well, I think if you read their charge, it simply says, the advertisement for town administrator must be placed by July 16, 2021. Doesn't say a consultant has to do it.
Yep, true.
So I don't even know I don't see that we need anything from them to do that.
Okay.
I think that because it says we have to use a recruiter,
Well, yeah, because it says that you must use a recruit consultant is the second bullet, and then the fourth
Right.
bullet is that we have to review and receive resumes from the recruit consultant.
Right.
So I
So-
think it implies that if we were to place the advertisement without a recruit consultant, we're obviously not going to be receiving resumes from one.
Yeah, well, there's no question they were counting on a consultant, but I don't think it reads that we have to. At least that's my opinion. But
But you could get everything in prepped and ready to go, and decide if you needed a firm answer from the board or not. So put
they'll have to
that out
meet,
there.
they don't meet again until July 22nd, so they'll have to meet in special session to do something like that. And
I think they would.
I've heard that they might be considering that.
Okay.
Pat? I'm sorry, Mary, you maybe had your hand up.
I think that there is, I think just from a point of view of consultant being independent and so forth, I think there's value there, which I've said before. The role that we were looking for the consultant to play was mainly to do a lot of the administrative type work. We were going to do the vetting, we were going to do the interviewing and so forth, but everything leading up to that, posting the job, making the flyers, receiving the initial resumes, doing some vetting, and then we were going to take it from there, really.
That's right.
It's the way that, the way that I saw it, okay? I don't have a problem if we have to do that all ourselves. I don't. I look around the room and I think we've got the ability to do that. I don't know if the board of the select board may have an issue with that. They may, and I understand that. Another option to look at, as far as a consultant would go, would be, is instead of a firm or whatever, how about just an individual, like a retired town administrator?
but they all know everybody. So no matter how we play this, we're going to be accused of something coming in the back door, no matter how this works. I don't care if we use the Collins Center and get 400 resumes. The optics are already cast in stone.
Yeah.
So we need to just do the very best job we can do.
Yeah, and, stuff's gonna happen. I don't even think about that stuff. But our focus is to provide the town, provide candidates, which it says 4. I don't think we're gonna do 4. But here are candidates that we think can do the job. Any one of them can do the job. Now it's up to the select board to pick the one that they want here. And that's our charge, to do that. And if we can't, and I'm still very surprised the fact that not one of these, especially the Collins centers, we've worked with them before, done this before. I worked with them on the, the school thing for a while, so it's not crazy about who I had to work with, but, that was more probably a personality thing. But just think about if it's, maybe there's an individual out there, like I said, a retired town administrator, that just may want to be a point person. And just, maybe have on an hourly basis or something to help us through this, to lend some independence to it, and to do some of the things that, that we may not be familiar with, like, really vetting these resumes. And who that would be, I don't know, but I'm sure that, Elaine might be able to get some names for that. So that's kind of a option, I think. And it certainly wouldn't be anywhere near $16,000.
So in that respect, you're suggesting seeking like an individual consultant versus like a consulting firm.
Yeah. I think it's worth mentioning, Tom, if you're going to be talking to them, and what is, what's their reaction to, not having any of these consultants respond? What's their reaction? And then, that was the four that, we eliminated one, we had three, and those were, three that we were all familiar with. So, it's, like I said, it's more of a give an image of independence publicly than anything else, I think. Maybe
We tried.
let's get some feedback from them.
And the problem with all this back and forth is going to be the TikTok is still going on here, and we've got time limits.
Right, yeah.
So, the select board, if they're going to be willing to meet, frankly, I'd request that they have a meeting Thursday so that we can have a decision, so that when Elaine comes back, if we are going to advertise the position, we can get it in the MMA, and then we can take the rest of this thing apart and see what they want to do with it.
I think that the least is we've got to get the advertisement out there.
Right.
And we can do that is from the wording of the charge and so forth. I think that can happen, and I think it should happen.
Well, I definitely had the impression, like I said, I did speak with the chairman of the board today, that he felt we could advertise it without a consultant being involved and get that going anyway. And that's it's usually out there for 30 days, and then during that period of time, you can see what you can do or what you feel you need.
But I think they have to remove the other section that says that the resumes must come through a recruiter.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
So they're going to have to deal with, we can advertise it, but they're going to have to come in and rewrite the rest of that charge.
Yes.
Yeah. And I still think an individual is probably more accessible at this point now than a...
I don't know how you find that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, when we had change in town administrator a number of years ago, there was a retired town administrator that came in on an interim basis. In between.
That was someone who was acquired through one of these recruiting firms.
Was it?
Yeah.
I would be dead set against that.
Yeah, it was Jim Purcell, and he came in
That's just
through, he came through,
terrible.
I think he came through the Collins Center.
Really?
That's how you get these guys, they're all lined up with these people who are ignoring us.
And they all know each other.
Mary?
Just for clarification, is it worth reaching out to the Paradigm Company?
Well, we kind of eliminated them because of some bad feedback.
Gotcha, okay. And the other question, was there any financial limits that were sent along with so they had no idea what we were
I mean,
looking
look, I
for a
don't,
bid.
maybe the meeting's on YouTube by now, so if they did a little bit of research, they could easily have watched the last selectmen's meeting and seen what type of money we were talking about, but I'm told that this is not outside the range by a whole lot. I mean, people who are much more familiar with this
Yeah.
than me, and I'm not familiar with it at all, say that they're all surprised. And maybe it just could be the time, doing it around the 4th of July and coming out of COVID, and people are busy with a backlog of things maybe, and they just don't have time to spend their time on a little project like this. I don't know.
Quite possible.
Yes, Pat?
I think, Tom, maybe plan on talking to the chair of the board tomorrow,
I can do that.
if you would please, and I think, let's get some feedback from them. And say, okay, here we are. We can't meet the stipulations of your charge here, so we're dead in the water. Right now, we can't accept advertise.
Right.
We can't do anything else but
right.
advertise.
I think that he's going to say that he can't speak for the board, and that he has to have a meeting of the board.
Well, then have a meeting. And have a
Well,
meeting
I think
quickly.
that,
Yeah.
I can't announce a meeting for them, but I think they're working on that.
No, but we can certainly,
Tom?
Look at a timeframe here.
But we can establish a motion.
we can make a motion
To have
to
a plan.
request them to have a meeting ASAP, which would be 48 hours, because they got to publish it, so 40 hours from tomorrow morning. So perhaps they could have a meeting Thursday, would cover the 48-hour public notice for the sole purpose of dealing with this because of the situation we're now in.
So you're making a motion,
Okay?
are you?
Yes.
Okay, so you're
So
making a
let's request the
motion
select board meet
that they...
as soon as possible, preferably Thursday, which will
Soon
give
as
them their
possible.
48-hour notice, to deal with the restrictions that are now placed on this charge because due to the circumstances of having no recruitment. Now we need to know, where do we go next? Because Pat's 100% right, we're dead in the water.
Do we want to ask them specifically to,
Well, I'm sure that,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sure you'd be there at that meeting. If it'd probably be a morning meeting, so I'm not speaking
can if it's
for
Thursday,
you.
but as you know,
Right.
on
But if
Sunday,
it's
I'm leaving for a
Thursday,
week.
if it's Thursday, you could be here. If it's any other day, I certainly would be happy to, just so they get brought up to speed. They're going to get the whole story tomorrow. At least you'll explain it to Mark.
Yeah.
So they'll pretty much know what's going on. I mean, I've spoken with the chair also, and I said the same thing. I said, you left us no back door. So you gave us this list, and you never provided for a Plan B and a what if. So now we have a what if with no recruitment. Now what?
So it'd be the committee's desire to continue to move forward with the option of a consultant or
There
not.
you go. I like that.
Yes, very well
that-
worded.
Okay,
Let you make that motion, and we'll second it.
Okay? I made a motion to consult with the Board of Selectmen at their earliest convenience with the question to them to allow the Town Administrative Search Committee to move forward with the option of hiring a consultant or not.
Second.
okay. Motion made and seconded, and any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion?
All right?
Aye.
It's unanimous. All right.
That's why he's the chief.
What's that?
That's why he's the chief.
That's right. Okay, so I think that takes us through the next steps for the committee. We're kind of have to, yeah.
Well, so I was going to add, I wasn't opposed to the motion, which is why I didn't bring this up before. I think the motion's perfect, but it's sort of my opinion that this committee was established to accomplish a certain goal, and the select board put us in these positions to accomplish that goal. And I think us moving forward, given the circumstances, to accomplish the task that we need to do the job that we've been asked to do, in good faith, I don't think waiting for a select board meeting should hinder us. I really don't. In the sense that I think we should continue to do the job we were asked to do to the best of our abilities under the circumstances. No consultant, no recruiter. And if for no other reason, to demonstrate to the select board that we can do it, we will do it, we're willing to do it, and that we thought this was the best course of action moving forward. So theoretically, posting the job, getting resumes on our own without the use of a recruiter. I never, when this topic came up 6 weeks ago, never felt it was necessary for this committee to necessarily use a recruiter to solicit resumes. It might be beneficial to have a consultant to help us interview. I don't think anyone here works in human resources or has conducted, hundreds of interviews for town administrators. So it might be helpful to have a consultant to help guide us along that way, but we didn't necessarily need a recruiter to provide us with resumes. I know that was sort of the task given to us by the select board, and their hope was that it would be easier for us if somebody put 100 resumes in front of us. But I don't know that we need that. I think we can post a job. I think we can put it out on the MMA website. It's my understanding that when Norwood posted their assistant town administrator job, they got 60 applicants, 40 of which were highly qualified, and 15 were current assistant town administrators or town administrators in other communities within the Commonwealth. So, and that, my understanding was that was just posted on the MMA website. It's not something that they hired a consultant to do. So I think we, as a committee, can decide on our own to put this on the MMA website and start to solicit as many resumes as we can. And we may find that we get 20 candidates from that website that otherwise would have been provided by a consulting firm or a recruiter, but it was unnecessary to go down that road. And then we may decide, to Chief Weston's point, we may decide we do want a consultant to help us with the process later on. What I'm sort of dancing around here is it's my opinion that we as a committee can and should decide on what we want to do and then present that as to the select board as this is, under the circumstances, this is how we think we should proceed, and we're asking you to let us proceed in this direction. My opinion too, I think it's better to go to the select board with solutions than to go with them with, hurdles and roadblocks and obstacles that are in our way. So it's just sort of my general feeling is that I think this conversation tonight should be about what we can and want to accomplish between now and July 22nd if they decide not to meet until then. And we should continue down the road that we think is most appropriate. Because whether they agree with us or not on Thursday or on July 22nd, to some extent, it will have been a waste of our time to have the discussion, but I think it's important for them to know where we stand and how we want to accomplish the goal.
I kind of thought, is that what we were saying? We're going to advertise it by July 16th. We're not asking them for permission to do that. We're moving forward, telling them we're going to do that. Yep. And Craig's motion, or the motion now that's been voted by the committee, basically says we want to move forward and we want the option of using a consultant if we choose.
Yep.
Right, so removing the
But I
stipulation.
think that gets us there, doesn't it?
I don't disagree. Yeah, I'm just thinking if there's anything else that we think is appropriate for us to start to do at this point, I think we should just do it and not wait for them to change their charge. That's my opinion.
And I think your opinion could be brought up in the discussion phase with the board, that this is what like an update.
Yep.
This is what the committee is doing in the meantime, this is the process we're going.
We do not have the time to wait for people to change what their directive is and the charges. We have to accomplish a goal, and if we don't hurry up with vacations and everything else going on, there's no way we're going to be able to interview 10 applicants for this position in a timely manner. I mean, if you think about 10, if there's 10 potential people that we want to meet with to narrow it down to 3, at a bare minimum, that's 10 hours of our time. And these meetings can only be 3 hours long. So, roughly, right? Before we go cross-eyed. So it's going to be very difficult to get this task accomplished by September 1st if we had a consultant today.
And that's why I think we've got to absolutely advertise.
I 100%
And it can maybe even be faster than the 16th. It has to be done by the 16th. I think that starting on Monday when Elaine is back and we can put something together and get it out pretty quickly. At least I've been told by people who know that probably can be done.
But I think that too, that, we talk about recruiter, consultant, or whatever, it's a multitask for this, whomever that may be hired and so forth. But I think that we're boxed in with the way those charges are written. We absolutely are boxed in with that. We can and Adam's point, we can work up to that. But we got a wall there. And we got a big wall there that we really can't go beyond.
And we're going to ask them to address that
And
one.
that's the point, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think when they decided on this charge, I don't think they ever anticipated we wouldn't have a single consultant or recruiter that was willing to work with
Neither
us.
did we.
So I think if they were sitting here in the room, they'd probably say, hey, you guys do what you need to do and continue to plow this road because we've got to move forward with this.
Do,
They shouldn't have been so restrictive to start with.
very restrictive.
That's
And I-
my whole argument right from day one.
Then part of me wonders if, yeah, I don't know. I have questions about the charge itself and the validity, or I'm not trying to be, obtuse or, demonstrative. I just wonder how much of this charge and the directive that they've given us is really is it the type of thing where if we don't follow their charge, then they're not going to listen to our recommendations? So it's one of those things where we're tasked with a job, we have an objective to accomplish, they've asked us to accomplish it a certain way, but under the circumstances, if that isn't possible, I think we just have to do our job.
And so we're going to meet with the board. I think it'll be relatively quickly and get that addressed. Yes.
Just for curiosity's sake, do we as residents or citizens or anyone on this board, have access to the MMA website?
Yes.
So you would have a sense of...
There's one listing currently for a town administrator on the MMA website. There's a couple for assistant town administrators, and then everything else is pretty, treasurer, collector kind of stuff. But there's
I was
one,
just wondering how many...
yeah, there's one posting for a town administrator.
Okay.
And to Adam's point, when Bourne advertised, they got 32 applications. But we're going back a couple of years now. So, I mean, maybe everybody's happy in their job. I don't know.
Do we, I'm assuming the job description is available. I mean, we posted it last year for the interim. Is the town hall staff able to post on the MMA and get this?
Elaine probably has that
Yes.
wording.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this is not a big...
This is second nature to Elaine.
So then, just for point of clarification, do we need to make a motion to say that we would like to proceed with preparing a job posting that would be posted next week, irregardless of whether?
If you'd like to make that motion, I think we've already been told to do that, but if you'd like to make that motion, that's fine.
I just don't know if we need to, so I'm just asking, so.
Probably depends on how you look at it. But if you'd like to make that motion, that solidifies it even clearer that we want to move forward by
I feel like that's kind of
advertising
what
it.
Adam was getting at, like,
Right.
let's set the tone.
Yeah, make the motion.
That we're intent to.
Sure.
I mean, my guess is that there's a job description sitting on somebody's laptop or a computer, a hard drive, as we speak, ready to
I
submit somewhere, right?
I agree.
I
So,
don't think this is a big job to get it posted, really.
The only, if I may, Mr. Chairman, the only problem I have is that if you further read the charge, and you can interpret that we can advertise the position, but if we go down a couple of paragraphs, we can't receive any resumes.
Yeah.
They have to come through a recruiter. So if somebody sends a resume in, if it gets put out on Monday and somebody sends a resume in on Tuesday and the select board has not met to do anything with the rest of that, Elaine can't even accept the resume.
So maybe we can move forward just assuming the board's going to address this. Because
Oh, I have no
I'm
problem
quite sure
doing
they
that.
will.
I have no problem doing that.
I mean, I know what you're saying, but I mean, obviously the charge has to change.
But I
to
agree
get
with Pat,
recruited.
we are in a box and it needs to be
Yeah,
addressed.
exactly.
I don't want to, not to belabor the point, but I'm going to. You know darn well that if we don't have those hard-written charges changed, somebody is going to make sure that that gets known, and you know it.
Yep.
And that's one thing that we think we need to avoid. So I'm advocating for, we've already talked about it, but I'll just repeat it, Tom to work through the chair of the board and explain the box we're in. Adam's point, we got a job to do. And that job is to come up with some candidates for the board. And we need to be able to do it. With some guidelines, but with some flexibility.
Okay?
So then I would make a motion, if I can work off of yours, Stephanie, I'd make a motion that should the select board meet by next Monday, gives them Thursday, Friday, whatever, they want to meet for hot dogs on Saturday, I don't care, then I would like to see us post this position on the MMA website on Monday. Now, we can do it anyway, but there's a problem with what we do when they start coming in.
Is there a second on that motion?
Can I just,
Okay.
I just want to
So
say something.
For discussion purposes, it may not be something that they can do Monday because, as we know, they're waiting for Elaine to get back. She comes back on Monday, I think.
I don't think she's back Monday. That's what I just wanted to mention.
You don't.
She out all next week?
No, I just don't think she's back Monday.
I mean, we can leave it as soon as possible.
Okay, that's
No,
fine.
We don't have to pin it down.
By
I
July
was just gonna
16th?
say, let's,
Well, by July 16th. I mean,
Yeah, well, we've already got by July 16th.
Yeah.
We've already got, we're going to ask the selectmen to meet as soon as possible.
But the sooner it hits the MMA website, if that's what the route we're going to take, the better.
yeah. I think my impression would be that we would post it as soon as possible, no later than July
July
16th. And my preference would be that we would post it after the select board amendment.
Yeah, and the charge says the advertisement must be placed by July 16th, not on July 16th.
Right.
So earlier than that's fine.
And that can get done.
Could that be,
Absolutely.
could that be the motion?
So I'll amend the motion to that.
So your motion is what, Alan?
My motion is that we post the job description on the MMA website as soon as possible after the select board meets. Or you don't want the select board wording in there?
Well, I would say,
soon as
or I
possible,
would amend it
Well,
to
you
say,
had-
or by July 16th, in case they don't meet earlier.
So your motion is what?
Okay, I will make,
Who's making the motion?
Well, I'll withdraw the first motion. Let's start from scratch, so there's no motion on the table. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Jennifer.
I'm sorry. Forgive me for that. It's the second time I called you Stephanie tonight,
I
too.
know. I corrected you the last time too, but you didn't hear me. Okay, I would like to make a motion that we would give the direction to the appropriate individuals at Town Hall to place the job posting on the MMA as soon as possible after the select board meets to revise the charge, or by July 16th.
That covers both.
Second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion? Any discussion?
I'm not sure that it, yeah, okay, never mind.
Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion as stated?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? All right, it's unanimous. You got that? Okay. I don't need all the minutes, but I'll need that.
Yeah.
I'll need the two motions. Okay. So is there anything else on, so as far as that's kind of covers next steps for the committee, Pat, did you? Oh, I thought you raised
Oh,
your
no,
hand.
I just said there's nothing else we can do.
That's right. Any,
Yeah, that's gonna be.
Forgive me, Jennifer.
any committee member comments? Going by the agenda here?
Just for discussion, no motions, the salary will be determined prior to the posting, I assume, and that will be
I
handled,
think there's going to be a range.
a range, okay. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Would that be in the posting?
Yeah, that would have had to have been, even if we used a recruiter, there'd be a range.
Anything else?
In regards to our next steps, obviously, we have to see what the select board does, and then we'll see if we get any responses from the MMA posting, but do we want to set a tentative meeting just to see what happens, or do we want to schedule the next meeting,
Why don't we wait and see what happens?
Okay.
Okay, at least, we don't really have to do that now, I think, and if it's posted by the 16th, and there might be things to do, such as getting questions ready for interviews and things like that, we can decide then.
Do we ask the select board, to consider changing their September 1st deadline, or is that an impossible task to do? I understand the deadlines, and backing them up, but,
I personally don't think we have to do that at this point. My feeling is as long as we get it posted, advertised by the 16th, and you can leave it out there a month and then have two weeks. Now, if you get 500, applications, you might have a problem, but if you get a reasonable number, you probably have a chance of meeting it.
worst case scenario, what if nobody's home and nobody applies?
Well, I suppose we might get an earthquake, too. and-
Yeah.
I think the reason they chose that deadline is because if they were thinking if a town administrator were from another town currently employed and this was a step up,
Yes.
then typically their contracts require a 90-day notice. So that's what they were,
Yeah.
They were
I think
giving
that's where
themselves
they were given
September
that
to
time.
do the 4 candidates and then
Yeah.
make a decision.
Yeah, 'cause
They
did
feel
October,
that that's-
November, December.
They're not going to like moving that. If they have to, it'll be only out of necessity, because I mentioned that in discussion, and they feel they're kind of, they'd like to make the decision by October 1st. If in out of respect for the current town administrator, if he's not going to have a contract after December 31st, and also for others to facilitate a move. Matter of fact, they feel they should have started earlier.
Well, they should have absolutely started.
This Pat.
Just one more point. You're also gonna talk to them about the providing 4 candidates, some other choice of wording on that, correct?
What's wrong with the wording on that?
They
I
want
think it should
4,
say up to.
It says must present 4.
so it needs to be
Right.
up to 4.
If we don't have 4.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh,
Maybe it
all
should
right.
say up to 4.
In a perfect world, there'd be 4.
Okay.
Yeah, but if they're going to vote to adjust the charge, we might
Get
as well
that,
have them correct that now, too.
Fix it all.
Yeah. Well, this may be a Monday meeting, and then it'll be up to you.
We have FinCom Monday night.
I think they might be shooting for a morning meeting.
That's good.
It's okay.
I
And
would hope
maybe, we'll see when it is. All right. Minutes of the meeting. Just a typo. The minutes are for the June 28th meeting, not the June 29th meeting. And take a motion regarding the minutes.
I move the minutes approved as amended.
Second.
As amended, okay, that's there too, I didn't see that. No.
What was the amendment?
What's the amendment?
No, when you,
You said there was a typo?
Typo's on the agenda.
Oh, so the minutes are
minutes
correct,
are
so the
fine.
minutes
Minutes
are
are fine.
as
oh, I'm sorry, I
written.
thought you were correcting. Okay.
So I have a motion,
To approve the minutes as typed, as printed.
Second.
all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented?
All right?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Motion to adjourn?
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right?
We're adjourned.